Chris,
DD.
it's me and you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Dan is not here, and I don't know why he's not here. Like, all I know is that he really does need to like step up his game if he wants to be a part of this podcast anymore.
Yeah. It doesn't happen often when Dan is not on the podcast and available. And I think we've mentioned this metaphor before, but like it is like the kid that has perfect attendance. And then when that kid doesn't show up to school, like everybody at school thinks that kid died.
That's fair. I feel like we're going to put clips up this week and people are going to be like, where's Dan?
Yeah.
Like people are going to have actual issues. Like, where did Dan go?
Yeah. People, when they see me in the clips, they're like, oh shit, Chris was actually on this episode. But then when they don't see Dan, they're like, oh no, something bad must have happened.
Yeah. I believe that it's Shannon's birthday, in all honesty. I think that is it.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think I saw that on like a Facebook reminder of some sort.
Gotcha. Well,
could be wrong.
Seems like a legitimate excuse, but I haven't gotten the handwritten note yet signed by his parents, so I can't vouch for anything that you just said.
Or Dan's dead. One of the two. We don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But first question to start this show off today. I was in my car a lot last week. Not as much as you, though, but I was in my car a lot last week. And I was thinking about what I would like spend money on. If I had this extra, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000, something like that, that I could just throw on anything, what I would blow it on. And I would blow it on nice speakers. And I feel like most people would be like, why the fuck would you spend $10,000 on speakers in your house? And I'm like, because I'm a sound snob. It's what I am. And I was listening to this certain song. It's by this dude named Steve Lacy, and it's called Bad Habits. And the way that shit sounds is like, oh my God, this is why I need really expensive speakers. I just need them. And I was like, oh man, most people would be like, that's so stupid. Why would you do that? So I had to ask you, what would you spend money on that 99.9% of the people in your life would be like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when Dee texted this to me like literally right before I was going to bed. And that's the worst time to ask somebody like a really intriguing, thought-provoking question. So thanks for that.
I'm doing that every night now.
But like 99.99% of people is a good stipulation, because anything I could think of, I was like, Dee and Dan might not be surprised by this, but like everyone else in my life probably would. So I don't know that I could find anything that like you and Dan specifically, what like you guys might be like, you're an idiot, but I don't know that it would surprise you.
Okay.
But I went a little bigger. I was thinking like a lot of money. Like,
okay, if I
had tens of thousands of dollars, like if I had 20 grand to throw at something, what would it be? And I have this dream project for my house that's ridiculous for 99.999% of human beings. But it's basically this project, and I really think it's going to happen at some point. Okay.
Okay.
It's this project where like we have a house with an attached garage, right? So there's nothing above or below the garage. It's just sitting next to the house with a door into the kitchen. I want to move that garage forward and build like my own commercial gym behind it.
It's because I know I've been to your house, so I'm literally trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
in my head, and I'm like, wow, that's a good one. That's a good one, because in my head I'm like, Chris, you like buy a new house. like Chris, move. Like, yeah. In my head, it's like that's what that's saying. Is this all right, Chris? Move.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm very envious of what The Rock has, and I want that for myself. And I think like if I were to tell you and Dan that I was doing that, you guys would probably be like, that's stupid, but like that makes sense because Chris is obsessed with lifting weights. But then I think the rest of humanity would be like what you just said, just like buy a new house. So that's what I came up with. I also had some other scenarios of like if I had millions of dollars, but then I think like when you get into the territory of having millions of dollars to throw around, pretty much everything is stupid for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's not as interesting.
Yeah, that's because I probably should have put a cap on it, but like the commercial gym in your house thing, that is an obtainable thing. You could actually make that happen.
I'm going to do that at some point. I promise you I'm going to do it. So whatever episode number this is, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, because I believe that you're going to do it. I just don't know if at the end of you doing it, you're going to be like, it would have been a lot easier if I just moved down the street.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe Katie will force that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but that is an interesting one because I'm like, that is a lot. But yeah, for me, it's speakers. Like I just love sound and I love sounds. And I just want to have the most crisp, clear sounds at all times.
Yeah. And so like I see that for you. And depending on how much money you would spend on the speakers, like we would get to a point where I'd be like, is like the sound quality that much better, for spending this extra amount of money than you could have. I was wondering whether you were going to go car or home, and home is a cool one. Yeah. I have also always thought, and like when I was younger, I had for a while there, this really deep desire to like outfit my car with really nice speakers. But I'm happy I didn't sink the money into that because now that I have kids, that would have been a way I would never be using them.
Yeah. See, the car thing because I have a dream for a car, but I would have to be like rich at that point where it's just like, you'd hear it and you'd be like, oh, DD has a lot of money. So he just spends it. Cause I really want a vintage Bronco.
Oh, okay.
And because
like an OJ version Bronco.
Yeah, like I want a vintage Bronco with like the top completely off, like doesn't even have one anymore, and it's just like super sick. I'll send you pictures. You understand what I'm saying? Just
buy an old one and then find out where Exhibit lives and get on Pimp My Ride.
Oh my God.
That's the equation right there.
There's a show on Paramount Plus called Hip Hop My House. And it's Cameron and an interior designer.
Hip Hop My House.
Hip Hop My House.
They couldn't have plagiarized Pimp My Ride more. Like, that's ridiculous. That's not even. Oh, that's hilarious.
I will give you my Paramount Plus password for you to watch this show. So we can talk about it on a future episode of the Brunch Breakdown.
Would love that.
Yeah, it's happening. What's up? It's the Brunch Breakdown. It's DD out here in Los Angeles. Chris is in Pittsburgh, and Dan is possibly dead. We're not really sure. So we'll see what happens with him. Well, today on the Brunch Breakdown, we are going to be talking about a lot of different things. Chris has a cool dad topic because we're both dads on the Brunch Breakdown. So this is Dad Brunch. Welcome along for all the parents out there. We're going to be talking college bands. We've got the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, have hired a wine sommelier for their baseball games. And I can't wait to talk about that as well. And we just have a lot of things to get to, and we'll see how many we get to in the next hour. Well, Chris, tell everybody where they should find the Brunch Breakdown.
Yeah, if you go on this website called Google and type in Brunch Breakdown, you'll find everything that you need to know.
Boom. There it is. See, this is why we don't need Dan. This is why we don't need it. Yeah. And Sounds of Brunch playlist on Spotify. Make sure you go to that. All right, let's get random topics off our chests right now. Chris, get it off your chest.
Okay, this one's going to be a little bit weird. I don't like to bring a lot of health and fitness topics to this podcast because I have a podcast where I do that myself. So I don't want to double up and be like shameless promoter here. But I have noticed, I'm going to do it today. I have noticed an unbelievable amount of people talking about steroids recently. And maybe it's just because like I work in that industry. My feeds are curated for that type of content. But it all started when like some news came out that Zac Efron admitted openly that like for some of his roles, he has gone on steroid cycles to look super big and jacked, which if you've seen anything that he's been in the last 5 years, like he's really, really super jacked. And like, I've also seen like in the fitness industry, some influencers are going on steroids. Some influencers are coming off of them. Some people are like going on TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy. I just find it, it's amazing how many places I'm seeing this. And I was like, I was actually happy to hear Zac Efron come out and say like, yeah, this is what I did to look that way. Because I think it's important for people to understand how many people that look really good are using things that you're technically not supposed to use. Like it is unbelievable the amount of people who are on growth hormone, performance enhancing drugs, testosterone, therapy, or steroids. And I think it's important to talk about that because so many people look up to the people that look great and are famous and are wealthy and stuff like that. And think like, well, what do I have to do to get there? And they think like, oh, Zac Efron did these workouts to look this way. I just need to do those workouts. And then you do them and then you don't get there. And then you feel awful about yourself and you quit and you get less healthy. Like it's important for people to actually disclose the fact that they're doing that stuff. So shout out to Zac Efron. Did not see this coming back in the High School Musical days, but here we are. And another one that I thought of was, and I forget the comedian's name, but he was in a superhero movie. I think he's Pakistani. Kunal.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Nanjiani or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember how to say his name. He was in a superhero movie who, like, if you looked at him 5 years ago and then what he looked like on screen, people are like, wow, I got to know what workouts this guy's doing. Hey, guess what? He was doing a lot more than just workouts. So that's a whole long spiel to say, like, a lot of people are doing this stuff and you should not compare yourself and your health and your physique and the way that you want to look and feel to those people, because a lot of people do that stuff and they're not open and honest about it. And I think that's important for people to know.
Because these people are getting ready for roles. They are playing characters, and this is what they have chosen to do to their body and to make sure that it looked like this, and then they're off of it. It's so crazy. That's why it's not a shock to me. It's not like, like professional wrestling, like that's been known for ages that they all did that and stuff. So it's like, but yeah, the internet's a weird place, dude. We and Siobhan were watching like Kelly and Ryan one morning, and this lady was on talking about trends on TikTok that you need to like make sure your kids aren't doing. And it was like putting deodorant on your face so you don't sweat. And apparently people are doing that. And it's unbelievably harmful for your face. Like they don't even want you to put some deodorants in your underarms anymore because of the shit that's inside of a lot of deodorants or whatever. And people are putting it on their face so it stops their face from sweating.
What on earth? I don't even know what to say to that one.
Dude,
like, sweating is a normal human physiological process that you should let your body do it.
Dude, I was blown away. And it's the same thing with you. It's so funny. It's like we have this grasp on the world, you and I do, that are like, yeah, like I know that guy is on something, and I know that Kim Kardashian doesn't look this way because she drinks tummy tea or whatever the fuck she's whatever it is on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like we know that, but there's so many people who don't. So I'm happy, but just like you just said, I'm happy Zac Efron and hopefully a lot of other people are like, this is what I did to look like this.
Yeah. Shout out Zac Efron.
Yeah, shout out to Zac Efron. Let's go. I didn't expect us to say shout out to Zac Efron today on the show, so I'm a little shocked. So,
you never know what's going to happen on this podcast.
Dude, you don't know what's going to happen on this podcast. All right. I want to get this off of my chest here. Wine is bullshit. And it's funny, I found the San Francisco Giants thing that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but wine is bullshit. I went to a friend's house and they were like, this wine is so great. We got this wine at this vineyard, blah, 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 whatever. Pulls it out. And I'm like, that's the wine that you can get for buy one, get it for 5 cents at this local, liquor store. And I'm like, yeah, that wine's good, but like, you paid how much for that? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you right now, guys, don't spend more than, I don't know, $13 on a bottle of wine. Just don't do it. Unless you actually know what the fuck you're talking about. If you're like me and you just like wine, like I just like it. I don't know anything about it. I'm just like, Pinot Grigio is cool with me. I like some red blends. I don't know. It tastes good. I enjoy it. And I can drink it, and I don't really get drunk when I drink it, so it makes me happy. I enjoy wine. That's it. If you're like me, don't spend a lot of money on it. It's absolutely stupid. Don't go to the grocery store and be like, well, that must be good. It's $40. Don't do it. Wine is bullshit. And even the people in your life who spend a lot of money on wine, they don't know what they're buying either. They just spend a lot of money on wine. So wine is bullshit. And that's what I need to get off my chest.
I don't even like wine, so I'm all in on this stance of yours that wine is bullshit. I did for fun a blind taste test with my family years and years ago, and there were some expensive ones. I can't remember who. I think my mom might have set it up, and so she knew what we were tasting, but nobody else knew. And there were some expensive ones, there were some cheap ones, there were some local ones, and unanimously, everybody preferred the lower cost local wine, as opposed to nobody picked the most expensive bottle ever. Ever. And that was a big eye-opening moment for me to basically what you just said. It's just I don't know. Why are you paying all this money for something that tastes exactly like something that's $20 less a bottle?
Yes. It's all bullshit. And I don't know if it's as simple as just being anybody who makes wine is trying to make the best wine. They're not trying to make shitty wine. Do you know what I mean? The wine at the bottom of the shelf, some dude wasn't just you know what? I'm down. I want to make the shittiest wine and I want to be on the bottom of the shelf. So I'm everyone's trying to make the best wine. It's not like making shoes or clothes or something where you don't have the materials or whatever. It's grapes.
Well, this is even a better reason to support the low cost wines, because those poor people they went into it thinking they were making the best one, and it turns out that it sucks and nobody wants to pay more than $13 for it. So you should support that person, because they've invested a lot of time, energy, and emotion into creating something that nobody likes. We need to start supporting low cost wine.
There you go. Support your low cost wine. Support it. Brunch breakdown. PSA. Oh man. All right. Let's get into Brews Day. Chris, what are you sipping on, man?
Yeah, so I just got back from a road trip to Kalamazoo, Michigan, DD. And I'll be honest with you, the reason we went there was because it's close to Lake Michigan, in a town that's beautiful, has a beach. That was all fun. I did not expect anything from the town of Kalamazoo other than to go there for a football game and then leave. I was like, it's a Mid-American Conference football town. I went to a Mid-American Conference school, Dee. I know what the towns are like. There's not a lot happening. Okay. Turns out Kalamazoo is like a city. There's actually stuff to do there. And there's a really good brewery there, Bell's. So
nice.
You may have heard of Bell's, because you can get Bell's Two Hearted Ale pretty much
everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah. And so got a chance to go there, visit the brewery, which was pretty cool. They had the biggest merch store of any brewery I've ever been to. And we picked up a lot of beer. So I'm going to be drinking probably more Bell's here in the future on Brews Day. This one is Juicy Gossip. Admittedly, I've already had quite a few of them because we bought all our tailgate beer out there. But it's just, there are certain things when you see a session IPA that's called Juicy Anything, you expect some fruity deliciousness. And that's what you get from this. A lot of peach, a little bit of mandarin orange in here. It's quite delightful and delicious. And so I'm excited to have this today on the podcast.
Nice. Well, we are in the same wavelength when it comes to IPAs today, because I've got the Ojai Pixie IPA. And as you can see from the can, we got oranges, we got mangoes, we got pineapples, we got all the things that I enjoy in an IPA. And Ojai is in Ventura County, which is like an hour away from like where I am outside of LA. A lot of surfing goes down in Ojai, a lot of surfing. So if anyone's ever heard of Ojai, that's probably why. Because anytime there's like surfing on TV, a lot of the times it's either happening up there or it's happening in San Diego. So you may have heard of Ojai. But anyways, this beer is delicious. And I have had this beer before. And I forgot that it was just like in the back of my fridge. And so I was like, oh, I should bring this out today. And it's super good. As our fans of the Brunch Breakdown always let us know, it's super good.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the fruity ales, man. Tell you
Oh,
what.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Super good. All right. Well, let's get into the main menu. Chris, you have a topic about dads, and we're both dads. Let's talk dad shit. Let's go.
Yeah, actually, you know, before I get into my topic, I was wondering your answer to this question, because I have any parent that has 3 kids, DD, I have to ask them. So like there are big transitions when you start having kids. There's going from none kids to 1 kid. There's going from 1 kid to 2 kids. And I've done both those transitions. But I'm curious, before I get into this topic, so far, what is or is there not a stark contrast between 2 to 3? And I know that number 3 right now is a bit immobile, right? But like, what's that transition like?
For us right now, it's literally just making sure you don't yell at your other two too much. Because, and here's why. It's because there's a newborn, and then I have what will be a 4 and a 2-year-old here in the next couple of weeks, right? And so they know that there's a baby here. They are excited that there's a baby here. But like my son, Major, who is about to be 2, he can't control his limbs. So he always wants to show her something or put her pacifier in. And I'm like, Major, you are a gross preschool kid. You have runny nose. You can't touch her. Like, you're telling him touch the feet. And then with Saoirse, like, she can kind of do anything, but she always just wants to kiss the baby. And we're like, you're gross. Stay away. But like, you know, and it's stuff like that. You're kind of like, right now, the only thing is you're just kind of playing defense for your newborn.
Yeah.
Where like you want the kids, they're happy that she's here, but it's also like, oh God, like you just gotta make sure that they don't get the baby sick, or they're not like throwing things at the baby, or you know how they used to just throw things around the house. You gotta make sure where the baby's at. You gotta make sure the baby's high, can't be low, and stuff like that. Or making sure that they don't get into, they just play in the baby stuff. Like we have a swing. Saoirse's 30-something pounds now. And I'm like, dude, how is this swing still built? Like, shouts to whoever built the damn swing we have in our house, because I'm surprised the thing just didn't break. Like, I thought babies were supposed to be in that shit. So it's that stuff right now. So it's just kind of playing defense around the other two is the biggest difference right now. In 6 months, when I have 3 people moving, that's what I'm nervous about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But right now, it's just making sure you don't yell at them too much because they don't really know what they're doing, and making sure that you just kind of like we're just trying to keep mayhem safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Dan called it zone defense. And I think that sounds like that's what you're playing right now.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in hearing about like once all 3 of them are mobile. And this leads well into this topic. What I want to ask you about is what things should be acceptable for dads to wear, but they aren't, because it's like actually kind of ridiculous. And this came to mind. I'll tell you what mine is. This came to mind because my daughter is now 2 and some change. Like, she's very mobile, very active, running around and stuff like that. And then my youngest is like really close to crawling, not quite there yet. But so we're still kind of doing like the zone defense thing. But as part of that, like you never know when my oldest is going to just like fly into the room without you expecting, you know what I mean? And I've often been thinking, because I've I'll just come right out and say it. I have taken enough nut shots at this point that like I think it should be acceptable for dads to wear cups, and nobody would know that you're wearing a cup, except for you. It would be extremely uncomfortable to wear around, especially out in public. You're like going to the zoo, walking around with that thing on. No, that's not going to be comfortable. But I think that should be one of the items that dads should be allowed to wear and not be judged for it, because from a utility standpoint, it would be very, very helpful.
This is good. Because there's a lot of things. As someone who had back surgery before, I have it when Major was young. Yeah. Who said it back surgery? I think that back braces, don't hide them. Don't hide them. Anyone, don't do it, because I'm telling you, man, like it is essential. You're back when you are having children, and especially at the age we are right now, all in our 30s, having kids. Like I am done having children. I believe that you're gonna have like 3 more if what my wife says is true. We're talking to your wife.
My wife listens to this podcast. Easy.
So hey man, that's a warning shot for you, man, not me. I don't know. Anyway, that's I know I'm done. But yeah, it's freaking so I think that, like, you know, if you wear a back brace, if you wear a cup, if you wear knee pads, I think, because you're on the ground a lot. I don't have, you know, it may look ridiculous, but I feel like if I see someone, I'm like, that guy knows what he's doing. Yeah, that guy knows what he's doing. It may look ridiculous. Like, I would not do this. But if I saw someone doing it, be like, that guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's like someone who breaks out a calculator at the supermarket. You're just like, person's weird, but I bet they're really into coupon and they're saving some money somehow. But I'm not doing that shit. But they're saving money. Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's fair. Yeah, I think if you were to wear the knee pads and the back brace and whatnot, and like you be out in public and your kids aren't right there with you, then you become like the town lunatic, right? Like your kids always have to be around from an optics standpoint. Otherwise, you're just a guy walking around with way too much equipment on. I do think like most sports equipment in some way, shape, or form would be really valuable and helpful as a dad. I have a bag full of hockey equipment in our garage, and there have been times where I have wanted each and every piece of hockey equipment outside of the skates, because I think it would be really helpful in protecting me and handling everything that my kids are doing. Also, this is a lifting one, but like put elbow sleeves on sometimes if you're like benching or pressing heavy weight. If I am in a situation where I have to hold my oldest daughter for more than 5 minutes, like that, the amount I get like a bigger pump in my bicep from like holding my daughter sometimes than I do from like actually doing bicep curls. It's crazy. But man, that stress on the elbow, not good. And even like wrist wraps. If you've ever held a little baby for a while, like you got to kind of like wrap your hand around sometimes, and then your arms or your wrist is in this weird position. That would be really helpful too.
Oh, dude, just break out. Okay, so here we go. Talk about ridiculous things. The Allen Iverson armband. Just wearing that. Just wearing the black elbow. Just wearing that whole thing on your arm whenever you see. I might do it. Maybe I'll buy it. Because I'm telling you, you know, you mentioned 3 kids at the beginning. It's like friggin', it's just newborn shit is annoying, dude. It's just doing it a 3rd time. We just both are like annoyed by it, even though we both, you know, whatever, we love our kid, but it's also just like newborn shit sucks.
Dude. Is it because of the amount of stuff that you have? Like, is that what you mean?
No. I mean, just like doing the stuff with newborns. Like right now you have 2 kids who aren't brand new. So so people are sleeping longer, you know, you're not changing diapers every 2 seconds.
Mm.
You're not, you know what I mean? It's like, like that person's not breakable anymore. It's just the first month of doing all that stuff, like when you do it a third time, it's just kind of like, Jesus Christ, we're just doing it again. I'm very excited for like 6 months from now. Like, I'm very excited just for, not to be doing the newborn dance and getting to know someone in my house again. Because that's really what it is, just getting to know them.
Yeah.
But anyways, the elbow thing. I need that right now. It's what I need everywhere I go.
That's a fair point. And that leads me down a different path. But we have a friend who, they just had right around the same time as we had our youngest. They had a baby. I think they're like only a couple weeks apart. And she said, I'm going to butcher the quote, but essentially it was like, you learn so much from having one kid. Like, you have one kid, you raise that kid to be like 2 or 3 years old. You amass this vast amount of knowledge in your brain about how to like raise a human being to that point. And she was like, it would have felt like a waste to not then like be able to apply that information to another kid. She was basically saying like, we had another one just because like we know how to do it now. Like, what's the point of like having one, learning all these things, but then never use that knowledge again? So like, you're totally in the groove of that. You've done it twice now. This should be easy for you. Did your friend have 2 of the same? They have 2 boys or 2 girls or 3 boys or 3 girls? What they got? I think it's a boy and now a girl.
Okay. Cause I will tell you what I thought I knew, I didn't know, because having a boy is completely different. Completely different, because there's nothing to prepare you for that first time you get pissed in the face. After having a girl, you don't do that. Pee goes down. It doesn't go up. But with a boy, all of a sudden, that 3 a.m. wake up when you're half tired, you're like, you barely even remember it in the morning. You're like, wait, did he wake up? Oh, yeah, I guess I'm the one that did that. Oh, you wake up right away when you get pissed right in the eye. So, listen, what they're saying, there's truth to that. I get it, doing it again. But going girl to boy was like, I felt like I didn't know anything anymore. It's still kind of like that. But like now with Mayhem, it feels like exactly the same as Saoirse though. It feels like Groundhog. It almost feels like every time I look at her, it feels like I'm back to 2000, was it 19 or 18, and just being like, yeah, like I've done this before. But with him, even with him now, it's like the way he acts now is so much different than that Saoirse did it too. So
yeah, that's fair.
There's truth to that, but girl to boy.
That's fair. I haven't experienced that. Have not experienced it.
Oh man.
I've seen others experience it.
Man.
Kind of makes me happy that I have 2 girls, but
dude, it should. But what will be funny is if you have a boy for the 3rd, and then you will be like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's wild.
That'll end it at 3, I think, if we get there.
Yeah. All right. Oh, so which one of these are you good? So which one of these would you most likely wear? One will I see you wearing?
Dude, I think it's the cup, because like I'm so sick of getting kicked in the nuts. Like, it's just, I'm over it. It hurts so bad. And then like dad is paralyzed for 3 to 5 minutes recovering. and normally I get kicked in the nuts because I'm trying to like calm a situation down. And so then I'm knocked out in the corner, like, a pro wrestler on the side of the ring. And then Katie has to run into the ring, slide under, the ropes and try and take care of things while dad does that whole like woozy wake up. It's not good. So if I could wear the cup, most people would not know that I have it on. It is ridiculous to wear it. It would be uncomfortable, but at the same time, I feel like it would just improve a lot of situations for me.
Oh man. And just wait, in a few months, all of a sudden, this wrestling analogy is great, because in a few months it's gonna be like, oh, is that Charlotte's music? And she's gonna come in.
And Dan's probably so pissed, even though he's not a dad, he's probably so pissed that we're dropping all these wrestling references. That's
a really good analogy of what goes down. Yeah. But man, oh God. All right. Let's talk a little bit of sports here. The San Francisco Giants. They have hired a wine sommelier to enhance the game day experience. And like I said to you earlier today in a text, baseball is the greatest sport in the world. Like no other sport just lets you know right off top, you are here to do everything other than watch this game.
Yeah.
A wine sommelier. How many people at that game care about wine that much?
I don't know if it's like, you said it's the San Francisco Giants, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like, hey, like, wine country out there, like there are enough people that wouldn't ordinarily go to a baseball game that are now convinced to go to a baseball game. I know if you do that shit in Pittsburgh, nobody's going to care because, why the hell? If I want to go to get good wine, the first place I'm thinking of is not, let's go to the ballpark. Like that doesn't make any sense. And baseball, this is like, what I see this is as like one of the last ditch efforts, a painfully loud cry for help from baseball, because they've run out of ideas to try and get people to watch baseball. They've run out. If you are doing this at this point, you've run out of idea. What else is there to do to get people in your ballpark?
Dude, you mentioned the point, because I get it with wine country, right? And I understand having local vineyards at the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's hiring a wine sommelier.
Yeah, right.
For what? I don't understand. Like, so are you going to have a wine lounge at the ballpark that people just go to, swill their glasses, talk about the blends, guess the blends blindfolded? I don't know. Or is that going to be a part of the game? They're going to have like running, like wines, like running around, like we have pierogies in Pittsburgh. Like, what are they going to do? This is just so funny, but baseball does this all the time.
Everything about baseball makes me so angry. And we've been over it. We've been over it many times. I'm not going to dive into a lot of the reasons, but here's a new one that I haven't brought up. Like it's the only sport, kind of like what we're talking about here with wine, that like there are attractions in the ballpark that keep you away from watching the game at the ballpark. Like baseball, like almost every baseball stadium has like a kid's playground in it.
Yeah.
Why would you pay all that money to go to a game to take your kid to the playground in the ballpark? Go to the free playground down the street. It's ridiculous. Football teams have playgrounds outside of the stadium and it closes before the football game starts. Okay. That doesn't continue while the game's going on in the stadium. That's not how this works. It's ridiculous. And so now this wine thing, it's like, yeah, well, let's get people in the park, and then we're going to put them in a different room, and they're going to try wine and have a great time. It's going to be a wine tasting is really what but you have to pay for admission to the baseball game to get into the wine tasting. Like, what are we doing?
Wine tasting. I'm going to a baseball game to wine taste is just hilarious. I love it so much. But you mentioned the point with the playground thing. I don't understand that even more now that I have children. I thought I understood it before. I was like, oh yeah, it's a playground for kids. Have you ever had to drag your kid from the playground? Because it's like, all right, like it's time for dinner. Like we got to go home. Right. And they are like, we're not leaving. So you have to drag them out kicking and screaming. What do you do at the baseball game? You just end up there the whole game.
Yeah.
Or you drag them out kicking and screaming into the car because you're not going to watch the rest of this game. Like they're not going to sit there.
No, you're not going to take them there in like the third inning and then be back in the seats by the fifth inning. You're not going to be able to tell kids, hey, we're going to go play for 2 innings, but then we got to go back to the seats. You'll play for 2 innings and then they'll freak out and then you'll just go to the car. So you're going to end up watching 2 innings of baseball.
Yeah, 1000%.
I hate everything about baseball so much.
Oh, baseball, the greatest sport. America's pastime. Gotta love it. All right. I want to nerd out about marching bands right
Let's
now.
do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Southern's band. If you don't know about Southern University and their band, which is incredible and always have been incredible, and they just keep posting videos on the internet, or people keep posting videos of their band doing amazing things, and Chris keeps sharing them to us, and they are amazing, and I love it so much.
Yeah. Southern's band is, in my opinion, the best marching band in the country, which I guess would mean then the best marching band in the world. You and I saw them, I don't know how many years ago now, in New Orleans.
Are we talking like 10 years ago now?
Yeah.
Or maybe more?
10, 11, 12 years ago. We saw them march in the Mardi Gras parade. And like, there's so much happening at that parade and just in New Orleans in general during Mardi Gras, that like, you're not really focused on one thing when the whole parade's going by. But then when Southern came down the street, came down Canal, like everything stopped, because you could hear them from several blocks away. Their brass is so loud. And then as they got closer, like more people were like, holy shit, what is happening? What is about to happen? And then when they're when they're in front of you, it's just so in your face. You can like feel every note that they're playing. They're amazing musicians. And then they like, I mean, they have theatrics to their performances too. Like when they're doing halftime shows and stuff, like it's just, that is the pinnacle of marching bands. And it's, they're amazing. Yeah. But I don't even know, like we talked about social media feeds. Like I don't tweet about marching band, but somehow Twitter knows that I love marching bands, because I'm getting so many videos about Southern. So I don't know if it's Southern sharing them or other people or a combination of all of it. But the clips that are out there from them this football season are insane. And I told you, I want to take a year off from work and I want to follow that band around the country.
Dude, that would be awesome, because like they're so good. And what I don't understand, and listen, you may disagree with me on this. You are more of a band person than I am. I don't understand why the only bands we see on TV are the Ohio State band, like I guess Notre Dame's at times, but really just boring bands. Those are the bands we see on TV all the time. I always wish that they would just show us whatever Southern or whatever Grambling is doing at halftime of their game during halftime of whatever game I'm watching. Because I don't understand why the only bands we see are Ohio State. Everyone gets so excited, Ohio State, or you're watching a game watching a game at the stadium. People are like, oh, the pride of West Virginia is out there. I'm like, to do what? Nothing. They're gonna make a formation with WV with the state of West Virginia and whatever. People are happy, but like I didn't feel anything. Yeah. Southern, I feel something. I feel something through their internet clips, and it's like that's what I want to see at halftime. I want to see you guys play songs from the 70s. Just friggin', I don't know. It's been really bothering me. So you posting those, like sending those clips, made me think like maybe I'm not crazy. Because I'm like, Ohio State's band does nothing for me. And I see them every weekend.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can watch them like dot the I, I guess, unless you're a huge Ohio State fan. Like I think for most people, it's not that big of a deal. But like the Southern and like HBCU bands in general, like it tends to be a brand new performance every time they go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like all of the theatrics and different things they do during the actual performance, where they're not just marching in straight lines and, like all this stuff, which is fine. But there are so many bands that do that the bands that do something different are the ones that I find most interesting. And that's like, even on a smaller scale, like when I was in marching band in high school, actually the township I live in now in Pittsburgh had a marching band that it was like the only one in town that danced during its halftime show. Like every song, they had a different dance for it and all this choreography and stuff. We couldn't wrap our minds around how the hell they could like plan all that stuff. It was a smaller band though. I think that's why, but like everybody talked about the band here because of what they did on the field. But then like everybody else is just doing the traditional marching and left turn, right turn stuff. Yeah, bands like Southern are way, 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 way better and more entertaining. And I would rather see them than just about anybody.
Yes, we just need like 4K cameras catching their performances every week, and that's what they send at halftime.
They should. And you know what? Like ESPN's starting to do it with like their featured game of the week, where they have like a bunch of different broadcasts for it. And I've seen on the Watch ESPN thing, like they'll broadcast the halftime performances of like LSU's band or Alabama's band. So you can tune in to watch that. But again, it's like, well, okay, can we broadcast entertaining bands? Could we do that?
Yeah. Can we just get a band channel?
Dude.
Let's get an HBCU band channel. That's what we need. ESPN, they've got all the things on, even going to ESPN Plus, it's like they got all the, you watch any game you want. You can watch freaking West Liberty versus fucking W&J or whatever the hell. Like you can watch anything you want. Like we need a band, we need an HBCU band channel every Saturday that just goes through all the HBCU bands. We just have that on a loop every Saturday.
I'll take it a step further, man. If the USFL can have its own reality show, why can't we do like training camp reality shows of those bands?
Real life Drumline.
Exactly.
Hosted by Nick Cannon.
Let's go. He hosts everything else.
This is genius.
Right?
You're welcome, people out there listening.
Yeah. Well, DD, I mean, you're in the entertainment industry. Make it happen. I'm here. I'm ready for it. I'll grab
it tomorrow.
My iPhone shoots in 4K. Let's go.
It's happening. All right, well, let's get into what we're listening to. And I'll start because I said it earlier in the podcast. Steve Lacy, Bad Habits. This song is absolutely blowing up and came out a couple months ago, but it's like now like it's humongous song, viral on TikTok. Like any song goes viral on TikTok and it becomes a huge thing. But this song is really good, and you will understand why I want to spend $10,000 on speakers just to listen to this song over and over again. Trust me, you will. Yeah.
Nice. You know, speaking of songs on TikTok, there is a Spotify channel for like trending songs on TikTok. I just discovered this with my brother-in-law when we drove to the brewery in Kalamazoo. We had a lot of downtime because it was like a 50-minute drive.
Oh, geez.
And we discovered that. I also discovered that he listens to our podcast on like 3 times speed, and we sound ridiculous.
Oh, I can't wait to do that.
But this is really for no good reason other than I heard it on the radio because I was driving for like 20 hours over the past week. Men at Work, Land Down Under is a tremendous song. And I know it's from the 1980s, but like I hadn't heard that song in probably a full year, and I sang every word and I love it. And yeah, it's going on the playlist. That might be the song of 2022. I mean, with the brunchies are still a few months away, but Men at Work, Land Down Under.
This is why you should listen to the Sounds of Brunch playlist. You never know what's gonna end up on there.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj and this artist, he used to go by Young Blue, but now it's just Blue. Anyways, this song is called Love in the Way, and it's super good, and it's got great Nicki Minaj, 2 verses from Nicki Minaj in it, and it's super good. So Love in the Way, Blue, Nicki Minaj. Check it out.
Nice. I got a new one, relatively new one from the band Tiny Moving Parts. They put out a song called Day Drunk, which
not mad at it.
This podcast might have some experience with that. And it's just everything you want from Tiny Moving Parts. If you listen to them before, you're going to get the vocals that are extremely, extremely unique, and it's going to make you feel some type of way. So Day Drunk, Tiny Moving Parts.
All right. I put Breland on the playlist last week. I'm putting him on again because everyone needs to listen to this album because it is one of my favorites of the year from his album Cross Country. Here for it. It is the first song on it. Him and Ingrid Anders. And it's such a great song because it is a friendship anthem. It's like, yo, something's going down. I'm here. I got whiskey. I got a beer for it. It's here. I'm here. And it's just uplifting song. And it's like, and you would think this would be like, I feel like when I first heard it, I thought it was like a love song, but then hearing it again and again, it's like, oh, this is just like a song saying, yo, like, come over. You just got fired from your job. You just got to break up, whatever. I got a whiskey and a beer for it. I'm here for it. Let's go. And it's just a dope song. So here for it. Check it out.
Nice. I enjoyed that one you put on last week. It was really, really good.
Oh, dude, that album it's so good.
I still have to listen to it.
Yeah. It's top to like from start to finish. It's just fucking, it's really good.
Nice. Last one of my favorite bands, Settle Your Scores, put out a cover, and I haven't decided if it's good or terrible. So
Yes.
I want to put it on the playlist and everybody else can decide. But they covered Royals by Lord. Okay. And Settle Your Scores. This ticks. The reason I can't decide is because this does tick the one box that we mentioned where like it has to be distinctly different from the real song.
Okay.
Settle Your Scores is a pop punk band that is more on like the hardcore side of it. Not a ton of screaming, but they're going to have a breakdown in just about every song. So like there's that element. It's distinctly different, but I haven't decided if it's good or terrible. We'll find out.
I can't wait to listen. Brunch homework. I love a brunch homework assignment.
There you go.
Always fun. Well, that is what we're listening to. Make sure you check out the playlist on Spotify, updated every Friday. Hopefully Dan's not dead and he updates that for us this week for the brunch breakdown. All right. Bishop Sycamore, game of the week. Do you have one, Chris?
I do.
Okay. I'm very interested to see what you pick. Go for it.
Well, so I think like this idea of the Bishop Sycamore game of the week came up on an episode I wasn't on. So I don't know what like the general theme is that we should be searching for, but based on the game you had last week, I thought this should be maybe the shittiest game I can find. So what I chose was Iowa at Rutgers. My friends, if you want to watch a game that will feature 2 safeties and less than 2 touchdowns, well, this is the football game for you. Iowa at Rutgers. Bishop Sycamore game of the week. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. That's it. Iowa Rutgers, Bishop Sycamore game of the week. I didn't know if you were going to pick Georgia, Kent State. So
I did see that one. Obviously, personal connection, and the spread is like 45 points.
Yeah.
So yeah. I also considered that one because I was like, oh, is it supposed to be the shittiest game or like the biggest blowout? I don't know, but that was on the list.
Either one matters. It's a game that you're like, wait, why is this happening? And Iowa Rutgers makes complete sense. Yeah. Complete sense. My God. All right, Chris, any final thoughts on the brunch breakdown?
No, just shout out to Zac Efron once again, man.
Yeah. Shout out Zac Efron. Come on the pod.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do brunch. That's the brunch breakdown. We're out.